Roger Williams University is hosting a crisis management seminar on May 3rd at their Providence campus. Crises, whether a natural disaster, cyber attack, or financial instability, can have severe repercussions if not handled properly. This is where crisis management plays a pivotal role. Join Roger Williams MBA students and expert speakers to learn how to prepare for the unexpected. The program is totally free and open to the public. You can register online at rwu.edu/events/crisis-management-symposium.
This is the Bartholomew Town Podcast.
1 week from today, we should know the results of the election here in Rhode Island and across the country, hopefully, right? In terms of these hotly contested Senate and congressional races, one of which is taking place right here in Rhode Island. That's the CD2 race between Democrat Seth Magaziner and Republican Alan Fung. And look, I have a buddy who works for one of the major cable outlets who wrote me, and he was like, do you really think that Alan Fung has a chance to win this thing and send a Republican to Congress from Rhode Island for the first time since, the late 80s, early 90s? And I was like, hey, look, the most recent poll, the most recent public poll, has these two tied at 48% each. Now, that poll didn't include Bill Gilbert, the third-party candidate, the moderate, who's polled as high as around 5%. But my instinct is that Gilbert is going to pull protest votes from both Magaziner and Fung in pretty much an equal fashion. But look, at the end of the day, this is a very, very viable race for both candidates. And, my question to you here is we're now less than a week away from Election Day, is if you are an undecided voter, is there anything out there that you're looking for in the closing stretch that's going to help move the needle one way or another for you? And you can send me an email, bill@ripodcast.com, if you have any specific thoughts about that, and we'll read them on air later this week or early next week as we get ready for our election coverage. But that is going to be a really, really fascinating race to watch. Obviously Alan Fung, who has done a pretty good job of trying to paint himself as, the everyman. He's out there, the superhero in khakis, guzzling coffee syrup, whatever the case may be. He's trying to paint Seth Magaziner as some kind of elitist, this, that, and the other. But, there's a major issue at stake here, and that is Social Security, that regardless of where Alan Fung, stands himself, if he's elected to Congress and votes for Speaker McCarthy or votes for Kevin McCarthy to become Speaker, McCarthy's literally written a book on cutting Social Security. So no matter what Alan Fung says, he's going to be in a quagmire, so to speak. He's in the quicksand on this one. And I think Seth Magaziner and his campaign is zeroing in on this appropriately. So, you talk about abortion, you talk about cost of living in a practical sense, whether it's gas prices, food prices, whatever the issues of the day are. You can talk about guns, you can talk about anything like that. At the end of the day, those types of wedge issues may very well not be front and center when the undecided voter goes to the polls either in early voting or next Tuesday and makes their decision. And that Social Security question may be front and center. Now, look, Alan Fung gets in, votes for Speaker McCarthy. Alan Fung doesn't get in, doesn't vote for Speaker McCarthy because it's Seth Magaziner's in there. Is this CD2 race going to swing the balance of power specifically, in Washington, D.C., inside of the House of Representatives? Well, it's not. I mean, it's not like this is a scenario where we have a tie, an absolutely split Congress that, there's some kind of special election taking place in Rhode Island that's going to decide the balance of power. But it's a contribution, and I think it's something that I'm hearing from a lot of people, especially more informed voters like you guys, that this is a major, major issue, and it's one that I think is going to play out significantly. And even though Fung in some of the media outlet polls has been more dominant in terms of results, I think that as we move towards Election Day, that Social Security issue, they need to figure out a way, they being the Fung operation, to really package this in a way that can convince people that, hey, look, just because you vote Alan Fung doesn't mean that anything is going to be any different in terms of Social Security. Alan Fung gets in there, or Seth Magaziner, we still may have a Speaker McCarthy, and there still may be a scenario in which you have a cut to Social Security proposed. And the Fung campaign, they may argue, hey, look, you want somebody inside the room, inside the caucus that has a different perspective that may be able to argue on behalf of the people when it comes to preserving Social Security. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this. We haven't heard it from the Funk campaign, at least played out like that, and I'm surprised that we haven't. And I wonder if in the closing stretch, that's something that they're going to look to. I'd invite you all to check out the debates that I moderated for WPRO. You can find them at 997WPRO.com. Just click on the Election Central tab, or just go to my Twitter at Bill Bartholomew, and you'll find I made a thread of the different debates. Now, that includes the CD2 race that we did last Friday that I moderated, Governor, which we did on Monday. Those are each hour uninterrupted debates, and then 30-minute debates in the lieutenant governor and the treasurer race. So you can find those there. So, what's it going to look like here in the home stretch? What is going to move the needle? Now, we see this piece that came out in the Boston Globe today. Brian Amaral published this. It actually came out last night, I believe. Yeah. Ashley Kalis at the center of a dispute with an Illinois contractor. And the headline is that. It goes on to say the contractor says Kalis ridiculed and threatened him amid a billing dispute 4 years ago. The Kalis campaign says that the disparaging remarks were a sign that she is a fighter who stood up for herself. So I've heard, on talk radio, and I've been watching on Twitter. And again, that's just a minor portion of the overall voting population. But some people are saying, hey, look, we're encouraged by these messages, which are pretty aggressive and crude at minimum. And by the way, Kalis doesn't deny them. She even was on the radio this morning, kind of doubling down on this notion that, hey, these text messages, as crude as they were an instance where she was trying to protect her family and her business and so on and so forth. I've heard people making the argument that, hey, look, this strengthens my support for Ashley Kalis. These are signs that she's going to go into the State House and she's going to stand up to whatever corruption exists there, imagined or perhaps realistic. I don't know. But, these text messages, to me, I look at them and I'm like, hey, I can't think of an instance where most of this stuff now I've ever said, or anybody that I'm around, in different sectors. I don't know that many people who, use this kind of stuff or flaunt their social status or any of the other things that are alleged in this particular batch of, whether it's opposition research that was handed to the Globe or whether Amaral himself dug it up through his own reporting. And either way, it doesn't even matter at this point because it's out there and it's a situation. But boy, the Kalis campaign, what they're saying is that, hey, look, we're not going to lay down and die over anything like this. And we don't really care about the fact that some of the messages that were sent in this story, not in the story, that are reported in this story that Kalis sent 4 years ago to a contractor on a project she was involved in, reflect negatively in the minds of some of the voting population, because our audience, the people who we're trying to court anyway as supporters, they want this. They want somebody to go in there and they don't care about crude language. And again, it's not about using the F word. I mean, I'm sure every single elected official uses that word daily or something like that. I don't know. That's not the issue. It's just the tone and tenor of some of the comments here that are really vile and, and just like I said, I can't imagine saying some of these things to anybody in any dispute that I've been in. Not to say that I wouldn't get aggressive at the right moment, but it is surprising. The debate was interesting that took place on Monday on WPRO because, look, some people are saying it was a rehash of a lot of issues that already had been fleshed out. I'm saying that it was a chance where, especially when you take the cameras away, like we have on radio, you hear a back and forth on, and you can decide for yourself who's got substance. Who's got substance? And I think that's what it comes down to. You can talk, you can paint yourself as however you want, but who's got the political capital, who's got the relationships, and who's got the ideas to move the state forward in a meaningful way? And I think that's what this race is going to come down to for the informed voter. For the uninformed voter, which is a large chunk of those who will turn up at the polls on Tuesday, hey, I don't know if this story, this Globe story, and similar stories like it reported by other outlets, the Providence Journal and WPRI namely, will be a positive or a negative for Ashley Kalis. I mean, that's the world we live in, folks, and it's kind of hard to believe that someone could take remarks that are crude and just kind of what I thought beneath her. But again, some people, I don't know how many people, but some people, including the Kalis campaign, are saying, hey, look, this is emblematic of her as a fighter. McKee's team put out a statement that, they ripped her. They call her unfit for office. Governor McKee's campaign statement on the vile messages sent by Ashley Kalis. The Boston Globe reports classist, homophobic text messages sent to a contractor. Today, Governor McKee, his campaign, released this statement. Ashley Kalis's violent, erratic conduct is an embarrassment to the state of Rhode Island. If this is how Ashley Kalis thinks people should conduct themselves, it's understandable that everywhere she goes, she's followed by police reports, fraud, lawsuits, and fines. It's abhorrent that Ms. Kalis proudly stands by this homophobic, classist, and sexist rhetoric. Rhode Islanders expect their governor to bring people together, and Ashley Kalis's style is to tear people down. Ashley Kalis knows no floor and goes to greater and greater lengths to disqualify herself every day. That's Brexton Isaacs, the campaign manager for Governor McKee. So, look, how does this play out? First of all, how many people actually find out about this, and do they care? That's the question. And if they do care, do they care in the sense that they look at Ashley Kalis and they say, hey, geez, I was thinking about voting for her, but, her conduct seems to be unbecoming of someone who wants to be governor? Or do they look at it and say, hey, just like Donald Trump, the crude remarks, the this, that, and the other, it doesn't mean anything to me. I like her and I like her policies and I like what she's going to do to quote unquote clean up the state house, drain the swamp, however you want to position it. So I don't know. Is this a boon or is this something that's going to sink the campaign? I don't know. What do you think? Bill at ripodcast.com, Twitter at Bill Bartholomew, if you have a thought on that. I really don't know. I really don't know, because I think that there's some people who love this kind of stuff. And they look at it and they say, oh, geez, that's exactly what I'm looking for in a governor. Somebody who, isn't afraid to speak their mind. So I have no idea how this is going to play out. It's going to be interesting, and that's where that race, unlike the Congress race, which is going to come down to, I think, one very specific policy, I think the governor's race is going to come down to one very specific perspective. And it's not a whole lot different than Donald Trump in the sense of, hey, do you like the person? And if you do you care at all about any comments or commentary or, mannerisms, so on and so forth, that person has become, at least inside the news media cycle, known for? So it's going to be really interesting stuff. And I wonder if any of this even matters to you. That's what really is unclear at this point to me. As somebody who observes this stuff from different perspectives, I don't know if anyone cares enough to even read a Boston Globe story or listen to a talk radio show or listen to a podcast or follow a Twitter thread or talk to an informed voter or talk to somebody who's actually passionate about this stuff on a regular enough basis to really gain an understanding of who these people really are. So that's my takeaway right there. I think Congress comes down to one policy, and that's Social Security. I think governor comes down to personality. The Congress race is going to come down to policy. Governor's race is going to come down to personality. Now, I think that the McKee campaign, I see posts from people saying, oh, it must be a lot closer in terms of their internal pollings. Hey, look, I think Ashley Kalis is definitely, I don't think she's surging. This isn't Helena Foulkes part 2 where, we saw Helena Foulkes crest pretty much at the right time on Election Day. She won in terms of, not won, but she got the most votes on Election Day proper. McKee was able to defeat her handily in terms of mail ballots. But look, the reality is I think Ashley Kalis is building some momentum, and I think that there's a significant amount of people that are ready for some kind of change, even if they don't understand what that change is. And they don't really care whether or not Ashley Kalis sent crude text messages to a contractor. And I think most of the people who do care about that are probably not undecided voters. So I wonder what your thoughts on that. Again, Bill at ripodcast.com, at Bill Bartholomew. Lots of content up that I posted, some stuff over the last couple of weeks, some analysis, some looks at the referendum questions, 2 of them, question 1 and 3. So that's all there for you here on B-Town. I'm going to have a lot more analysis coming your way as well over the next several days as we approach Election Day in Rhode Island. I'll be on air, by the way, on WPRO on Election Day as the returns come in. We'll probably go live, I don't know, like 8:40, something like that. Right there on the radio, and I'll, of course, be on social media and whatnot, and we'll have the returns as they come in. But, hey, that's my takeaway right now. Congress comes down to policy. Governor, it's going to come down to personality. Does any needle move? Does anything change in the next couple of days as we head into the home stretch? Or have people cemented their positions already and irrelevant of any opposition research or negative news stories that come out about any candidate, are they going to make a decision that differs today than it would have yesterday, or that it would on Sunday night, or that it will on Tuesday? I don't think there will be a whole lot of movement. We just don't really know a true scope of what the electorate actually thinks until Election Day. Polling, as Joe Fleming, the best pollster in the state of Rhode Island, will always tell you, is a snapshot in time. It's a moment. It's a small group of people. It's a snapshot. So we can't really entirely rely on that. Hey, see the New York Times. 2016. I remember waking up on Election Day in 2016, looking at the New York Times, and they had something like 98% likely Hillary Clinton was going to win the presidency. 98%. Guess what happened? You guys know what happened. Everybody knows what happened. So, hey, who knows how this is going to play out. Stay tuned for much, much more content. And as always, thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Hey, everybody, you've been hearing me talk about the University of Rhode Island's online cannabis certificate program. And well, with the increasing legalization of cannabis across the country, including recently here in Rhode Island, the cannabis industry is growing at a rapidly accelerating pace. If you are already in the industry or wondering what is the best path to break into the cannabis field, well, the University of Rhode Island has that program to help educate you in the evolving space. Fully accredited by URI's College of Pharmacy, the online certificate program covers topics related to product development, chemical analysis and testing, and patient and customer therapeutics. The next application deadline is for the spring 2023 session, and it's coming up on November 29th, and courses start on January 10th. Join them at 2 upcoming info sessions and learn more at uri.edu/online/cannabis or give them a call at 401-874-5280.
At HealthSource RI for Employers, we provide access to health insurance to more than 1,100 local businesses and nonprofits, and 96% of them renew through us every year. Maybe it's our choice of 19 different health plans, our 10 years of customizing solutions, or our one local team of dedicated experts helping employers find quality health insurance. See how our numbers stack up for you. Learn more at healthsourceri.com/employers.